Good afternoon to you. Just an update. Last week, basically, didn't have a lot of time to film because I was under a big pressure. I moved 20 tons of, of dirt. So we got a really good deal from a friend who has a company, basically a building company. That's one reason why it's great to get to know the locals, because the prices we were offered when we looked online or tried to get a quote, we were looking at like 600 to 1,000 euros for like a reasonably large size bin to carry that much dirt. So we were just kind of taking it back and forth in the trailer. It's a lot of work because you not only have to load it on this end, you have to unload it at the other end. So, and you have to pay like 6 euros for a trailer load to get rid of the dirt. So it was fantastic. We got like 2 huge bins for like 200 euros, which is, I think it's pretty good. Biggest tips I can give anyone is that, if you're coming from America and if your your French isn't very good, try to avoid, not like there's anything wrong with English workers, but if you can get closer to French people, go down to the pub. Even if you're not a drinker, just go down and have a, sarsaparilla or something. Go down there and get friendly with people who are local. This may not work in areas like Paris or really large cities, but because we're in such a small village, you get to know people. They do favors for people. Everyone's always willing to help you out. It's just such a different culture. And the thing is, my French is not good. It's pretty horrible. I've been here working, basically not exposed to a lot of it. My wife's is much better. She does a lot of the dealing with the communication. But even if you try, the biggest tip is just try. Go down and talk. I have conversations with people. We don't really know what we're saying half the time, but if you're nice enough, buy someone a beer once in a while, or, just try to be friendly, and they really appreciate it. They really appreciate you just trying. You don't have to be perfect. Just give it a go. Be nice. Avoid hanging out with just English people. Avoid hanging out with that crew. It's so much easier to sit there. But if you can just, even if you have a few people that know, who are English people that kind of know, English-speaking people, I should say, that that know a little more French and have friends, connect with them. Get those connections going, because it's so important to be able to sit down, know people in your village, and they'll do anything for you. It's just such a different, I don't know how to explain it other than the culture is very much family and friend oriented. We've had neighbors when we had the stone delivered, they just rocked up and basically started shoveling. We didn't ask them anything, but afterwards gave them a little gift, a bottle of whatever for helping. And it's nice to get to know these people, because you don't move from North America or from England or an English-speaking country and not want to live in France. Because if you have moved here, if you just want to move with English people, what's the point, right? You're not gonna have a different lifestyle. And this lifestyle here is way better than you'd expect if you get to know the French people. They're lovely. They can't do enough for you, right? So it's just fantastic. I can't explain how important it is for you when you first get here. Stay away from the English. I don't mean English people, English speakers. Try, get to know the waitresses, get to know the bartenders, get to, there's a Pétanque, which is kind of like boules or bocce ball. It's a huge, we haven't gone down enough, but you can go down there, you can get like a small glass of, like a glass of wine for like €1, and like a beer, small one, little cup for like €2. And people buy rounds for each other, and then basically your name goes on a board and you always get paid back. And they love it if you come and associate, right? As long as you're a nice person and don't cause fights. You just got to remember, you're always the guest in a different country. It's something that, I've lived in a lot of places. I've lived in, America and England, and it's different. It's much different here. I can't explain, when you get out of a big city, how lovely the people are. And we're in quite a depressed area. Like, it's not, people aren't really rich, but everyone's happy. They have great families. They do a lot of social things. So it's just fantastic. I just definitely work on, if you're going to ever move here, Get away from English. Get away, get into French people, because they're always so embarrassed by their English. But their English, I guarantee you, is going to be better than your French. But if you start it with French, you can kind of, and if you're trying, and they know you're trying, even if then they know you're not going to, you don't mean to insult them by saying the wrong stuff. It's just, yeah, you do your best, and it pays off, because we have so many more connections now that if we had just kind of gone the English route and only associated with English people, we wouldn't have those connections. And you have to be careful, because not all English workers, whether they're English or American or Canadian or whatever they are necessarily honest. They know you're kind of stuck here. They know you've arrived. Their prices can be higher. Their work can be shoddier. Doesn't mean everyone, but just it does happen. So you have to be aware that you can be taken advantage of. The same thing will happen with French people. If they see you coming, you have to be aware that they know that you're English, you don't communicate well, they can take advantage of you. There's almost like two sets of prices, which is why it's really important to get to know people, because you get the holiday people who are just here for a couple months a year because the houses are so cheap you can just buy one and rock in, rock out. They charge them more. If you live here and you don't associate with anyone and you're not friendly, then basically you're still going to get a higher price. So if you start to get to know people, it all changes, and it's basically you kind of get mates rates. I'm doing most of the work myself, but there's a lot of people that are really good French builders. They know the codes. We didn't even have to go to the Marie's office and ask them to put the bin down there. Our friend just whipped down there, and normally it's 4 days notice. It was there the next day, because once again, he's got the connections. He knows the Marie. He knows the office. So it's just really fantastic, the results of just getting to know people locally. And you should be. You're a guest. You should be trying to learn French. You should be trying to meet locals. Otherwise, why did you move here? If you're just going to move here for English, other than the weather, you're going to have the same kind of experience as you would in England, or you would in Canada, or you would in the States. It's just really important to get there, get to know people. So yeah, I moved about 20 tons. It was a lot of work, and some of those days it was 36, 37, and there was no wind on a few of the days. So what I did is I basically did a day, killed myself. I think I did 75 wheelbarrows the first day, and they're 90-liter wheelbarrows. And then I took the next day off because I was so sore. Next day I did another load of it because it was Sunday anyway, so I couldn't make any noise. I probably could have because it wasn't that loud, but it was just more along the lines. I didn't want to upset any of the neighbors. Second day, I moved, or basically I took the second day off because I needed a break. The third day I moved another, I think 65, something like that, wheelbarrows. Took another day off, and then after that I did 2 days in a row to finish it up because they needed it off the street by Friday. So I basically had a Friday to Friday, and I managed to move, I think, 255 wheelbarrows altogether. So they brought in one, he brought in one bin, or skip, or whatever you want to call it, depending where you're from. And basically, as soon as it was filled up that night, we messaged him, the friend, and the friend messaged the friend, because he didn't know any English. And basically, before 7 a.m., that thing was picked up, and it was emptied and brought back. So it was fantastic. And especially for that price, you couldn't beat that. And all the amount of work it saved us, 200, that would have been like 20 trailer loads going back and forth, and it's about a half hour to 45 minutes return trip for each one, so it really adds up time-wise. As you can see, got rid of most of the dirt on this pile near the tree. The first time we've seen out of the kitchen window to be able to see the fountain in like 2 years, or almost 2 years, and it's fantastic. Another thing I did, which was a bit weird, but surprisingly kept me a bit sane, is that every time I did 5 wheelbarrows, I would pick up a rock and put it on the edge of the fountain. It kind of kept me, I don't know, going a bit too nuts, because it's so monotonous shoveling in a wheelbarrow, taking it to the bin, going back 255 times. That's the only reason why I could remember that I knew that's how many I've done, because it kind of kept me busy. So I would reward myself every time I did 5 with a rock that's actually my own rock, which is a bit weird, but something to do, right? So I still have some more to bring down. It's a bit high. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait, because my calculations are that with all the little gaps and stuff that are still left to do, and the wood that's the forms for the concrete, when that fills in, I've calculated it's about 3 cubic meters, which seems like a ton, but it's probably correct. Yeah, so basically, I'm just going to calm down. The levels aren't exactly where they are, but what I don't want to do is I want to get all the dirt and not be able to, use it, or have to go out and buy more and bring it back. I've also got the dirt that's still around the garden, which I don't really like. It wasn't a good quality dirt, so I can use that as well. I do have a feeling we'll be doing more trailers, but the amount of trailers we've saved by doing this is fantastic. So it looks a lot better. Looks less like a construction site. We still got one pile left. Next on my list is making the the pits for the water capture system and around all the other clean out access panels that I got to do, and then I got to do a step up, and that's basically going on this week and probably next week. And then we're going to do. I've decided, instead of getting a huge pour all at once, because it adds a lot of stress. Like is me and a friend could help, and then we'd have to hire 2 people, like professionals, to be able to smooth out and pour all that concrete. It's 30 cubic meters we need. We had a good think about it and a good discussion with my wife. Basically, why don't I just do it myself? Sounds a bit nuts. I don't know how many weeks it's going to take. But if I just do small sections at a time, do like a cubic meter or so a day, which kind of gives us a 4 meter stretch, 1 meters. Why not just do it myself? The amount of money I'm going to save by not having that tanker, by not having that concrete dress, it's probably like 3,000 euros that we're going to save if I just get deliveries. So we're going to break it up into 2 deliveries, basically 15 huge ton sacks of mixed gravel and sand, and then about 150 bags of cement. And I have a mixer anyways. Why not use it, right? So I'm just going to basically mix up a few. That's about 10 to 15 wheelbarrows full a day. Pour it all out, smooth it out, and just go slow. There's no rush. The weather's still going to be good till at least November. So 6-8 weeks, if that's what it takes me, it's fine. I'm just going to plug away and do a section at a time. It's kind of fun to watch. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to be a bit boring video-wise because I'm just going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. But whatever, you can watch and try to guess how many days it's going to take me to get through all that. But anyways, that's the plan. Kind of going through a very boring stage in the house, but hopefully, pouring concrete, moving gravel, moving dirt. But hopefully, shortly I'll be back in the house and I'll start doing some more fun stuff like prepping for the air conditioning and heating, and starting to do bathrooms, just starting to do interior work, which is a lot more fun to do than this kind of stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day.